Alright, Diablo 4 players, let's hop into it. What is the best way to get uber uniques and how do you actually farm these items? Just at the start of the video, this is going to be the fastest method to actually get them, but don't expect it to be like, oh, a 10-minute thing, you walk over and you kill the boss and you get it guaranteed. These are the rarest items in the game, but this is still the fastest ways to get them. So you get these to drop specifically from the uber bosses. However, technically, as long as the enemy is level 85 plus, you can get it to drop. But doing it this method by just going out in the open world and trying to kill things that are level 85, you have the same chance to go dig through the trash can and win a winning lottery ticket. This is basically not possible, okay? So the best way to do it is to actually get these to drop from the bosses, or you can actually craft them via the sparks, and you can get guaranteed sparks several different ways, and I'll go over all of the ways that you can get them. The most easy, consistent way that you can do this is to complete the Iron Wolf's bounty system, and you will be able to get sparks on every single character that you can actually make, and you can do this again and again and again. It has no cap. Now, it will take you some time to go ahead and complete all of the journey as far as the getting the spended spark as the Iron Wolf's reputation. Basically, you just go out and you kill things in the Helltide. You can make brand new characters. Every single character can get all of the rewards, and it is quite a nice set of rewards that you can get, and you can trade the items or do whatever you want with the materials. Some of the items, they will be account bound, but as far as the materials, those are still tradable and you can get gold or whatever you need for them. But the other way to get them, if you don't want to actually just craft the uber unique, because remember, when you get the uber unique, it's a random one that you're going to have drop. You don't have a, oh, I want to try to get this one. It's not a gacha game where you get like, oh, I want this one, it gets a higher chance. You just randomly get them, but if you craft them with the sparks, you can actually get them. There's also another thing that you can do. So if you kill Uber Lilith, which is somewhere around over here, I won't show up on this one, but if you kill Uber Lilith, you can get a spark. If you actually kill any of the Tormented bosses, you can get another spark with that. So those are the other methods that you can guarantee get a spark. It requires 4 sparks to actually make a uber unique. But most people will actually obtain these through just doing the bosses and farming it. You get about 1 to 2% chance for these to drop via the bosses. And I will link a lot of these things that I'm about to mention in the description as well as the pinned comment in the video. And I get asked a lot of the times, like, which boss drops which sort of thing. And I'll link this down below. The different bosses drop regular uniques, and these are not the uber uniques. Even though technically right now, before we get into the new update in Season 5, they're not purple. The brand new uber uniques that will be coming out in Season 5 will be purple. But if you're just looking for the regular uniques, this website over here has all of the tables. So if I needed a very specific item and I'm playing the druid, I can look and see what boss. Over here you can see Gregor is one of the bosses that will drop it. Now, there are different versions of the bosses. There is the endgame variant, and obviously you're going to have to complete the campaign to get access to the open world. Obviously going to World Tier 4 to actually do this to get the better results, because you want your items to be, of course, ancestral here. But you want to make sure that you have the materials required before going. And different bosses will require different materials, and you're going to take them to an area, you put them in, and you're going to be fighting the boss. Now, there are tormented versions of it, and you'll see when you open up the boss screen, you can click on the right side, and then you're going to open up the tormented version, which is way, way, way harder. And so depending on which boss that you decide to fight or which materials that you have, that's up to you. And as you're playing now in the game, there used to be a better method to get, let's say, the exquisite blood if I want to fight a very specific boss. Like, for example, the Echo of Varshan, I require a gurgling head, trembling hand, blackened femur, malignant heart. It requires all of these to actually summon it. So you're going to need to see which boss is the boss that you have material for that you can actually go ahead and run. And you could trade these materials with different players. But I would recommend you to not really do any of the ones in World Tier 3. In fact, doing the regular versions of the bosses is not really worth it. The Tormented version requires Stygian stones, which are farmed from the pit, and they actually drop way more frequently now, so it's realistic for you to actually go and grab the Stygian stones by just doing higher levels of the pit. You will get more chances to get better results in terms of drop rate for Stygian stones. It's not every single time, but as you go higher, you get better drop chances with the Stygian stones. But the important thing with the Tormented version, it is way, way, way harder, but how it works, it costs 3 times the amount of materials that you're going to be throwing in. However, you get 5 times the rewards. If you've ever went to like a grocery store or something and you bought candy, think of it this way. This is buy 3, get 5. So basically you get 2 for free. Hopefully that kind of makes some sense. And for the endgame, no one's really trying to do like the regular versions of these bosses, but it technically exists. Now, which boss has the highest drop chance? They're really going to be all equal. There's not one that like specifically drops more, but depending on your build, some can be considered harder than others. If you were to ask me which one would I say is the easiest, I think Duriel is quite easy, and the reason why is it's not a mechanic where like if you don't do it, you're going to be instantly dead. With like some of the other ones on Dariel's, you do have to kind of watch out a little bit more, but overall they're all relatively challenging. It's not like one you can just absolutely cakewalk compared to the rest. They are all still going to be challenging. And I get asked this quite a lot, like what level do I need to be to fight the uber version of the bosses, the tormented version? And I couldn't really tell you, depending on the build that you're playing. Like obviously you have to be max level, you gotta all your glyphs max out, you have to be pretty much at the top of your game for these. However, if you do join a group, which I'll show you guys how to do in this video, it will be much easier, because usually there's someone that can maybe try to carry your group to go ahead and do that if you do what's called a rotor run. But in general, you do want to be completely maxed out. Ideally, if you're not even able to do a level 100 pit tier, I wouldn't even think about soloing these at all. Your best suggestion is either to come to someone's live stream and say, hey, I got mats, you want to run it? Sometimes the streamer will do it, sometimes they'll find it to be annoying, but that is one of the easier ways if you don't want to do the other method, which I'm about to show you, which is to join a Discord group or a forum, and you can post over there. But Discord is way better, because sometimes with forums, you got to set up a time and stuff. I'll show you in a second why it's way easier to do it the way I'm about to show you. But you have to decide which one that you're going to do, collect the materials, and then you're going to go do the boss. And as far as the locations over here, if you go to the website d4builds.gg/map, and I'll link these down below as well. If I just click on the boss layers, it'll show you every single area. So if you want to do Duriel, which I personally think he's one of the easier ones, this is where Duriel is located, in the bottom over here. If you want to do Gregor is located over here. If you want to do Andariel is right here. And if you want to do the Beast in Ice, it's that one over there. Although that one, I will say, is a lot harder than the rest of them. This is probably one of the ones I wouldn't really recommend people to do. And then we also have Varshan over here, and then we have over here Lord Zir. So those are the bosses that you can actually defeat. Now each one of them again will require different materials, so I will go ahead and also link this down below, and I'll tell you which one has the requirements of which item to actually fight. Now as far as acquiring these, if you mouse over here, and again I'll be linking this, it'll tell you exactly what you need. But the easiest way to get most of these materials is literally just play in the Helltide. You're gonna need to go play in the Helltide anyways. Goblins will be dropping these, but just in general, a lot of these things like the boss materials are all going to be dropping for lots of different things. So like you might require living steel. Living steel will consistently be dropping from the Helltides. As far as the Varshan goes, these ones you can see elites, local events, treasure goblins, hellborn, the blood maiden, those can all drop that. With the exquisite blood, you can also get these from legion events. That was kind of like before, like the way that you'd get it. And then with the beast in ice, you need distilled fear. These are obtained by doing nightmare dungeons, but you can get these again from just going into the Helltide. That's the best way to get, again, most of these materials. Now it's going to be different for some of the bosses here. Now with Duriel, it requires you to get mucus slick eggs as well as shards of agony. Whoever puts in the materials for defeating the other bosses, specifically Gregor and Varshan, they will drop a shard of agony or a mucus slick egg every single time, 100%. For only the person that puts in the material for the boss. And then for Andariel, what you need to get is Pincushion Dolls, which is acquired from the Beast in Ice, and Sand Scorched Shackles. Some of you guys may notice you'll just have these also because they can drop from like the world bosses, so that's another method to get it. But the easiest one seems to be Lord Zir. And the reason why I would say, as far as to get the materials, is Lord Zir, the exquisite blood, just requires exquisite blood. It doesn't require you to go here, kill this boss, and get it. But honestly, at the end of the day, just doing all of them is probably your best method, and you're going to consistently farm. Don't expect it to be every single time that you go into the Tormented level 200 bosses that you're going to be able to get them. But the average ratio is about 1 in 10 of the Tormented bosses to get one uber unique. Remember, if you want to craft the one that you want, well, it will require you to go ahead and get 4 sparks. So you're basically going to get 4 things that you don't want, and then you can craft the one that you want, which is usually going to be Harlequin. And actually, what would be good also is I will link a video down below to talk about one of the best uber uniques that might be for your character. But the other thing I want to go over is do not run these bosses alone. That is one of the worst things to actually do. So don't sit here getting all these materials and then go try to fight the boss by yourself. It is going to be in your benefit to go look up the Diablo 4 Sanctuary Discord, and it's so good. I literally just took the screenshot like right now, although technically my time zone might be different than yours, but there's always people. You want to go check. Obviously most people play softcore, but in the very beginning it'll ask if you play softcore or hardcore. You scroll down on the left side of the Discord and you go to where it says LFG bosses, and you'll see there's people saying LFG, which means looking for a group, Tormented Zier, 3 runs. So what that means is he has 3 runs, and ideally you also have 3 runs, but sometimes if you say, hey, I only got 2, they'll just be like, whatever. Like, people aren't really that picky. But there's also people that are looking for like boss. So this would be another way to get a spark. Sometimes if you advertise and you're saying, hey, I need to do my Lilith, can anyone help me? There will be people out there that will either charge you for gold or they will charge you materials to do the Lilith. But there are also people out there that will be willing to do it for free. But you can see over here, LFG, boss, Andy. Sometimes also you can build your character to be so strong that you could be what's called a carry. So sometimes people will be stuck and they'll say, hey, we can't defeat it, we need help. That can be another way that you can get entrance to it for free. You can also sit outside of those specific areas on the Uber bosses to go ahead and actually get invited. You could just sit there in like the general chat and say, hey, I got materials. If you didn't want to do the Discord method, that is another method, but it's a lot worse. And I didn't really want to go over like how to fight the bosses in this video. It's more so like the method, and I think that that's what most people want, because while streaming, I get asked all the time, Slager, you got all the Uber uniques, how did you get them? And honestly, it's just luck. There is no specific boss. Don't try to go over here and pet the cat or anything. All those are like just memes and stuff. There's only real one method to get them. Killing the monsters in the open world does not really work. It's just going there and doing it again and again and again. And it may take you hours to get your full setup. Maybe you want 1 or 2 Uber uniques, depending on your build. But yeah, you want to go to the Discord, and then you'll see when people post LFG, whatever, this is 5 times Rhoda of Andariel. You would then copy and paste, or you'd whisper them, add them as a friend Discord, however you decide to contact them. The easiest way, though, is just to add them, and this is their BattleNet ID. You add them and say, hey, I'm ready to play. You go in, and if you don't have the damage, sometimes it's okay, but if there's 4 people that all don't have damage, you 4 are all screwed. So ideally, you should have at least somewhat of some sort of knowledge on how the boss mechanic works. Ideally, you would look up a guide. I may make a guide later down the line that kind of explains the boss mechanics, but the easiest thing to do is make sure you're at least able to do pit 100. Ideally, if you can go a lot higher than that, that would be better. If you can do a 110, I think that like it's reasonable. It's not going to be like insta, but there are a lot of different builds that you could actually do the Uber bosses on that I could probably recommend. Like if you're playing Barbarian, the Flay Barbarian is just like by a long shot the best. If you want the easiest, Flay Barbarian and the Poison Andariel Rogue. Those are the 2 by a long shot the easiest builds to actually take down the Uber bosses. But that's the easiest and fastest methods to actually get it. So getting the sparks or just getting them to drop, if you salvage the spark, or if you salvage the Uber unique, you will get a spark. You get 4 sparks, you make anything you want. You can do the Iron Wolf's questline. Again, that's just killing the Helltide. The only guaranteed 100% no RNG way is to go ahead and do the Iron Wolf's questline. Again, that's the green thing. Or you just, as soon as the quest starts, just go to the Helltide. You'll eventually just start ranking up, and you will get a bunch of other rewards in between, which I think is probably the smoothest method. But if you do want the method as far as endgame and you only want to play one character, well, you got to just keep on going again and again, and it just takes some time. But anyways, hopefully this guide was informative. If you have any questions, let me know, and I can follow up maybe with another follow-up video, or I can update this video later down the line if anything was confusing. But if you're new here, subscribe, click that bell if you'd like to see more content, more guides and stuff for Diablo, and more games. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.